Good morning and welcome back to another Talk Let's conversation. Who's on your team? That's our conversation for this morning. Who is on your team? Yeah, you have a team. You might not know it, but we all have a team. And if you're like me, you've been so busy being busy with everyone else's team, you've forgotten your team. So we find ourselves spread it thin. I mean, come on, you're helping everybody. You're supporting everybody's goals, everybody's dreams, everybody's mission, and you forgot about yours. And we're always asking, Lord, what is my purpose? What is my calling? Well, I mean, you need to be on your team. That's the first thing. I mean, I want to help everybody's calling, dreams, goals. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all about serving and supporting, but you got to do something for yourself as well. And if you're out helping everyone else, supporting everyone else, which I think is a good thing, by the way, don't get me wrong. But what about your team, though? You can't ignore your team. You can't bless everyone else and not bless your team. I mean, so many of you are just so giving that you forget you got to receive sometime. And I love serving, but who's serving you? And see, that's the problem. Is that we like going out and supporting everyone else, but we forget that we are leaders also. And when you abandon your leadership role, that's why your family is drowning right now. That's why your kids are lost and wayward right now. That's why your wife is really wondering where are we headed next. That's why your husband is confused, is because you're so busy working on everyone else's team, you've forgotten yours. You've forgotten exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You knew once back then, but you've been so busy working. You've been so busy taking care of kids. You've been so busy being in everyone else's business that you haven't spent any time on your team. We've been taught by our parents how to be independent thinkers, independent decision makers. I mean, we've been taught how to just be independent, period. And don't get me wrong, that's a beautiful thing because my parents taught me how to respect myself and how to respect others. My mom taught me how to cook and how to wash dishes and how to put the dishes away. I mean, being detailed now. My mom taught me how to wash my clothes and how to uh, fold those clothes and put those clothes away once they was dry and put them up. My dad told me how to take care of the yard and how to take the trash out. And there's a way to do all that. I mean, more detail. But they taught me how to be independent, how to take care of myself. My mom taught me how to iron the wrinkles out of my clothes. She taught me how to sew buttons and little tears on my clothes, how to fix it and repair those things on my clothing. My dad taught me how to cook stew. I mean, good old stew in the winter. I mean, they were just teachers, but they was teaching us how to take care of ourselves just in case, we didn't get married or we need to really be on our own. My dad taught me how to always be presentable at all times. That's what they taught us. They taught us how to be independent. And don't get me wrong, that's a beautiful thing. I can't say enough. That's a beautiful thing. But some of you taking that way too far. I mean, way too far. I don't need anyone. I don't need anyone to help me with anything. I can do this all by myself. This is my life, and I'm going to live it the way I'm going to live it all by myself. And see, that's a big mistake because you're wondering why are you so medicated? Why are you taking so many pills to go to sleep at night? Why are you so confused? Why you have so much anxiety? I mean, you're just asking yourself, why are you so stressed? Well, that's why. Because let's be for real. I mean, be for real. Everybody needs somebody. Let me say it again. Everybody needs somebody. I mean, Tarzan needed Cheetah. Batman show needed Robin. And Jack needed Jill. Let's think about it. Bonnie needed Clyde. I mean, Will Smith needed Martin Lawrence and Bad Boy, Bad Boy. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come from you? The Lone Ranger needed Tonto. Romeo needed his Juliet. And Bert needed Bernie. Mario needed Luigi and Sonny needed Cheryl. Sherlock needed Watson and Magic needed Kareem. And Kareem needed Magic as well. Michael needed Scotty, and Scotty needed Michael. Noah brought two of every kind of animal on the ark because there was a need. He had to replenish the earth once his flood finished. Isaac needed his wife Rebekah. Jacob needed his wives Leah and Rachel. But Jacob also needed his twin brother Esau. King Saul needed his prophet, and King David needed his prophet. King David also needed his mighty men. Elisha needed Elijah, and Ruth needed Naomi, and Elizabeth needed Mary. I mean, come on. John the Baptist needed his disciples. Timothy needed a Paul, and Jesus needed his 12 disciples for the ministry. Have you noticed something? That things are done in twos, things are done in pairs or more. Why do you think God put Adam to sleep and brought him Eve? King Solomon tells us in the book of Ecclesiastes that two are better than one. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse 9 through 12, he says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. Verse 10, if either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Verse 11, also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. That's that body heat. But how can one keep warm alone? Be careful being so independent. Verse 12, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. I can break one so I can snap this finger, but it's hard to snap them when I've got them all together. A three-cord fold is hard, to be broken. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24, I'm stuck there. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife. And there shall be one flesh, not two, one flesh. Who's on your team? If you're married, your wife, your husband, that's your first team member in this flesh. If you're married, that's your first team member. I was listening to this Instagram show the other day, and this young man made a statement to his girlfriend. They were arguing about something, and she was getting ready to leave, and he says, well, hold up. Now, when we get married and we argue like this, and who do you call out to? I mean, who are the 5 people on your list that you call out to tell them what's happening and so they can pour into you? And she named 5 of her girlfriends. And he told her, he said, well, that's not fair. And she says, why is that not fair? He says, because I have to call 5 of these men on my list, and all 5 of these men on my list are going to defend you. Wow. Look what this brother's built up. She's calling her 5 girlfriends who are going to be yes girls, who are going to be all on her side, taking her out, she crying, being emotional, and they're going to be on her side like no tomorrow. He's put together a team that's holding him accountable. And he's made it clear that when he comes to them with a problem, he wants them to see her first and defend her. Listen to him, but defending her all the time. See, what he's done is he put a team in to win. He's put a team in that will rebuke him, correct him. Because there are going to be some fault in him because it takes 2 to tango. She's got a team of yes girls. And so what she did was she went back and she put together 5 people now that will defend him when she calls. See, that's what we need. If you're going to win in your marriage, you got to have people on your team who are not yes people. You got to have people who are corrective people, people who are rebuking people, people who are spiritually sound, who has wisdom, people who are not going to look at your situation and start thinking about their situation, start giving you advice on their situation, because that's not what you need, because they're not you and you're not them. You need people on your team who's going to listen to you and to listen attentively to you and have something to pour into you, tell you how wrong you are and what you need to do to make this work. That's what we need. Who's on your team? See, you need people on your team like that. There are 5 type of people who you don't need on your team. Let me say it again. There are 5 type of people who you don't need on your team, because these are the type of people who will hinder you. They'll hinder your growth. The first type of person you don't need on your team is a person who's negative. You'll see that person right there. They're going to constantly drain your energy. Avoid them like the plague. It's always something that they're getting into. I mean, you've got sisters and brothers like this who just always negative. I mean, you've got friends, you've got cousins. I mean, you've got coworkers. No matter what you tell them, it's always negative. You don't need that on your team. The second one is people who are constant critics. Let me tell you what I mean. People who have unwarranted criticism without constructive feedback. If you're going to bring me something with some feedback that makes sense to me. But don't just be giving me criticism and you're not giving me anything to kind of help me. See, don't need that on your team. And number three, people who are self-centered, who only think about themselves. Avoid them. All they're thinking about is them and what can they get out of it and what can they hear so they can spread some rumors. You don't need self-centered people. It's always about them. It's not about you. And number four, you don't need people who are joy robbers. Yeah, people who will steal your joy from you. No, 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 no. You need people who genuinely celebrate you in your success. Because, see, these people won't. No, no, no. They're not happy for you. Oh, please, no. Smiling in your face, stabbing you in your back. You don't need joy robbers. And the last one, number five, manipulators. These are the people who would try to exploit and control you. Be careful with those people. You don't need them on your team. You don't want them on your team. But my father says it best. If you lay down with dogs, you're going to wake up with fleas. And what he's saying is if you spend time with undesirable people, sooner or later, that's going to rub off on you. And you're going to be undesirable as well. You're going to have those same traits. See, you should be looking to see who's on your team. When you have a fight, who do you bring into the fight? See, this is your team you're building. When you need a counselor, I mean, who is that person that you go to? When you need someone who needs to be your conscience for a moment, who's on your team that has that? And when you need someone to be your designated driver, and I'm not talking about when you're drinking, I'm talking about someone who needs to get the wheel to say, hey, look, you take this for me and you handle this for me because I'm just confused. I just can't handle this. Who is your designated driver? See, that's a team you need. You need people who supports you, people who builds you. You need people on your team, that's for you, that understands your leadership style. See, life reminds me of a basketball team, if you will. When we talk about teams and we talk about team concepts, when you look at a team, there's always levels of any team that you're going to be on. And sports is no different. There's a varsity, and that's where the best players play on that team. They're more skilled, they're more polished, and it's mostly the senior level players. And then there's the JV team. And the JV team, that's that second tier of skill sets, if you will, and talents. And then there's this underbrush team, this team where it's kind of like a bowl of gumbo. This team, it's all others. All those individuals who weren't good enough to make the JV team or the varsity team, they find themselves on the B team. Now, don't underestimate them. I mean, they're just really not ready yet. That doesn't mean they can't be the star one day. So those are the levels of teams we have, and that's the level of team you should have around you. Who's on your varsity team? Who's on your JV team? And who's on your B team? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself, because you can't just put anybody in your team. Most of you are so used to putting your family on your team, and that's why you're failing. You're so used to putting your friends on your team, and that's why you're not successful. You've got to put people around you, put people on your team who compliments you, and they don't compromise you. That's what you need on your team. That's who you need on your team. People who compliments you, and they don't compromise you. That's what you need. Some people need to be on the bench if they're on the team. Some people you need to cut because they shouldn't be on the team. And that's hard as a leader to cut family. But if you don't cut family, family is going to compromise you. They're going to expose you for what you are. A leader who's hanging on to family. No. A great leader, it's not about family. No, it's about business. And that's what life is. It's about taking care of business, your business. I tell you, this is your team. This should be your dream team. And every year you should have an evaluation, if you will. because you want to win. And all these players need to be able to complement you. Keep in mind, I asked you at the beginning, who's on your team? This is your team. What do you need? Where are you weak at? I mean, where you need people to really support you at? That's what you need in your team. Just because your brother, needs a job, that's not a team member for you. Y'all can still be brothers. Just because your best friend needs a job, well, hold up. Y'all can still be best friends, but they can't be on your team. You need to fill these roles, in order to be successful. This reminds me of the story of Abraham. When God tells Abraham to leave his father, to leave his country, to leave his kinfolks. And Abraham decides to be faithful and step out on faith, and so he leaves. But he takes his wife Sarah with him, and he takes his nephew Lot with him as well. And there's no problem at first until they get out here and they got all this livestock, all this gold, all this silver, and they got all this stuff. They just loaded down. They just blessed beyond measure. And because Lot is running with, watch this, with his uncle Abraham, he's just as blessed. They get to a point in the wilderness where Lot's men, his servants, and Abraham men, his servants, they're beginning to have confrontation because there's not enough room for them to move around and with all this livestock and all this stuff. And so Abraham tells Lot, take your men and you either go left or right. And we split up so there's no confrontation between the two of us. We cousins, we kin folks. You see, what Lot should have done was Lot should have said, no, Abraham, you choose where you want to go, and then I'll just choose the remainder. Because my blessing is coming from you being blessed by God, from you being faithful. But you see how kin folks are? You see, kin folks run all over you. And let their people run all over you too. They're going to go choose the best land for themselves. Now here Lot is, over in Sodom and Gomorrah. Here the Lord is coming with two angels, and he's telling Abraham, hey, we're going to destroy the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. I hear a cry coming out from that city, and I'm going to see what's wrong. And Lot's in that city, and so Abraham is trying to negotiate. Can you save the city if we find 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 righteous? And they never find any of those righteous. But Lot's in that city. And because Lot is Abraham's nephew, the angels pick him up basically and teleport his tail out of Sodom and Gomorrah because he didn't want to leave, because he was so entrenched. Oh my gosh. He was so embedded into all that sin. That's what some of you are. You got family members who are so embedded into mess, into being negative, and you're still trying to hold on to them. Let me tell you something. Sometimes you gotta let them go. You gotta let them go because they'll bring you down. They'll bring down your whole team. The book of Proverbs says it best. It says in Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron. And one man sharpens another. Who's on your team? Let me tell you who should be on your team. People who have the same goals, the same purpose that you have. The people who support you, the people who are smarter than you, people who are more saved than you, yes. People who are more morally sound than you, people who are productive, people who support, your dreams, your goals, people who push you, people who keep you accountable. That's who should be on your team. See, that's your dream team. Whatever spot you have that's vacant, that's a free agent spot on your team. Don't fill it with a family member unless they have the tools, the skills, the talents to push it to the next level, to push you to the next level. Stop feeding into, hey, it's a family affair. No. What Bill Withers saying is that just the two of us, we can make it if we. That's what you need to be doing. It needs to be the two of you working this thing out. Yeah, cleave, leave. And see, you got to leave. It says mother and father, but I'm telling you, you got to leave family alone sometimes. Your dream team should be full of the Holy Spirit as your God, your comforter, full of Jesus Christ, your Savior, and full of God, the Creator. We say He's a way maker, then let's make that happen. Then, if He's a way maker, let's see a way be made. We say He's a water walker. Now, come on, I need a miracle. We say He's a heavy load bearer. Wow. We say He's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. That's what I'm talking about. You need that on your team. He's a rose of Sharon. He's a lily of the valley. He's the root of David. Some say He's a bright and morning star. Wow. I can see you in the future, and you look much brighter than you do right now. He's the Lion of Judah. Some say He's a wheel in the middle of a wheel. I pray this day that you realize in order for your team to be blessed, to grow, you've got to cut some people. You've got to hire some people who mean you good. You got to let some people go who you've been holding on just because they're family and friends. You can always be their friends. They just can't be on your team. They will always be your family. They just can't be on your team. Now, if you want to be on the right team yourself, remember Romans 10:9. Confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord. See, this is the team you want to be on. If you believe in your heart that God has raised Jesus Christ from the dead, then you shall be saved. That's the only team that we all should be shooting for together. Everything else, hey, it's a little heaven here on earth. You enjoy yourself, but make sure you build your team the right way.